So we're here ready to do our new podcast where we interview professionals, businesses, community organizations, and more.
But I thought we were here to interview artists.
Well, yeah, we're going to be interviewing all types of artists, musicians, poets, singers, dancers, painters, whatever your craft is. We welcome you to come to our podcast and tell us who you are, locally and abroad.
Or relationships and why those in love wear matching outfits.
Well, to each his own when it comes to outfits. We like to dress alike, of course. And it does matter how we look, both individually and as a couple. We represent each other, right?
Right. So, since you said that, shouldn't this really be about beauty?
Oh, yeah, I'm going to share some of my beauty tips, of course. I mean, that's what I do. Oh, yes, darling, because you do know that I am a Mary Kay consultant, and I've got to let them in on some of my secrets. Anyway, because when you look good, you feel good.
Speaking of look good, feel good, that reminds me that this is more about the vegan, plant-based lifestyle, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Plant-based living saved my life. Fighting diabetes, changing my lifestyle to the vegan lifestyle has really, really improved my health. And so we're going to show everybody how to eat right, tasty dishes that are good for you, and have some guests who can help us with those culinary arts.
That's what's up. So what about the reflections and encouragement of the day? Isn't that what it's really about?
I think at the end of the day, people are going to want to know, what is ChynaGroove? I'm ChynaDoll.
I'm D-Groove.
And together, we are China. You laughing? You laughing?
I thought you were going to keep it going.
Yeah,
I don't know. I can't give them a little taste, just a little taste. You know what I'm saying? Because we got some big announcements on this show tonight pertaining to the usage of lyricism and MCism and hip-hopism. Hip-hopology.
Hip-hop. Okay, we'll go with that.
That's the historically correct way to say it.
And of course, my linguistic expert co-host sitting across from me is the one, the only Mrs. Camilla ChynaDoll Collins Washington, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, bless you. I'm linguistic. Thank you. Spell it. Anywho, across from me and looking at you on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Is that anything pertaining to linguini? Pasta is fattening. It's the luxurious, very eloquent with words. You like that one? My hubby, my boo, chocolate and luxuriously curly haired juices and berries, slicked back on the side with a ponytail.
Are you hungry?
Possibly. Don't feed the host until after the show, because I will get the itis. It's the one and only Derek D. Groove Washington. Y'all give it up, give it up.
Give it up. And together that must mean we are
ChynaGroove
Podcast.
It's a podcast, y'all. We are laughing because sometimes it's a show and sometimes it's a podcast, and he always gets me with the eye to see which one I'm going to say first. But tonight, it's a podcast.
Hesitated. I like how you did that, though.
Tonight, it's all about the cues. It's all about the cues.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Indeed. We're excited tonight because our lineup is so dope. So dope in a professional way.
You might even say funky fresh.
Dressed to impress, ready to party. Yes. And very informative. We have with us one in-studio guest and one guest who's coming on momentarily to talk about some very important issues as well as what's coming up in the community very soon. Would you like to do the honors, sir?
I mean, you know how we roll. You're the guest introducer extraordinaire.
Well, first, I'd like to introduce one of my first friends when I moved here to Sanford. One of my very first educator mommy partners at the school who helped. She is a pillar in this community. She is always there to advocate for equality and education. She's very, very, very intellectual, but she's really also very cool and pretty. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce and let her tell you more about herself, Miss Angel Mills.
Hey everybody, my name is Angel Mills. I'm currently serving as the Executive Director of Alliance of Black Leaders and Educators, and in my day job I'm also a longtime educator for our schools here for 27 and a half years.
Woo!
So
Yes. You get applause for that.
We should all get applause for that. And I'm just really excited to be here tonight.
Awesome sauce. And we have you on, and we also have in backstage my good girlfriend, my sister in love. This is our mommies were besties, and
think I can catch her off guard too.
She always ready. She stay ready. Come on now, lashes popping and everything. So Miss Vanessa Sephens, she is in management with the hospitality for a chain of hotels, and she's here to also talk with us about some very important issues and intervention about human trafficking. Please tell everyone who you are and what you do, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. How are you?
Good.
Okay, well, like I said, I'm Vanessa Sephens. I currently manage the front desk at a Comfort Inn in Fayetteville. I won't say that particular one. But like I said, it's the summertime. Kids are out, and I just want to put some awareness to everybody about what's going to go on this summer and how we can help combat what's going on with human trafficking.
So let's get this party started right. Angel, can you tell us a little bit about what you have going on in the community right now?
Well, Alliance of Black Leaders and Educators is currently organizing and putting on a summer camp for music and arts for 13 to 17-year-olds called the 5 Pillars of Hip Hop. And it's going to be held on June 19th through 21st with a public performance on the 22nd. The camp is completely free. We are still currently seeking applicants, so if you are out there and you're in that age group and you enjoy music, you're interested in music, you're interested in art, sign up and join us. I see you have the flyer pulled up there.
Yes.
And that QR code will take you to the registration form. And you can also see all of our wonderful supporters and sponsors. This is a program that is funded by the North Carolina Arts Council and the Lee County Arts Council. They have been a great sponsor for us, as well as local businesses of Wilson Reeves and Silverman, Stokewell Counseling, Flooded Screen Prints, Sandra's Management Agency, our very own Lee County Cultural Arts Group, represented right here in this room, and Central Carolina Community College have all been great partners in helping to put this together. So we're really excited to bring emceeing, beat making, graffiti art, and street art, fashion design, and dance to our community around this particular genre of hip hop. And we're doing all this in honor of Black Music Month. I'm not sure, many people might not know that June is actually National Black Music Month. So this is one of the ways that we're celebrating that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I got to say that it's definitely something that's close and near and dear to my heart, because I mean I just eat and breathe hip hop, and it's great to basically go back and teach the culture of it, because I think that that's something that a lot of, and I don't want to be judgmental, but it's just a fact that this generation doesn't seem to care about knowing what that means as far as what a pillar of hip hop is. If you say that to some, they'll, wait a minute, what do you mean?
You mean a pillar you lay your head on?
I mean, it's just, it's funny. And me and another person online, a producer friend that I talk to a lot on Instagram, will comment on this post. But we had this conversation about it. And it's like, think about it. Hip hop is one of the few, if the only genre that just a lot of folks in this generation and generation like one or so but before this one just have no respect for the old school. Think about it. It's a rare thing that you see a lot of folks that actually know the history and the culture of hip hop. They think that just because you're a rapper that you're hip hop. I mean, you're one part of it. You know what I mean? So it's good to have programs like this.
And I think that that's part of why we're doing this. And I don't know if I would say that the kids don't have respect for. I think it's more of a lack of knowledge. And that's our responsibility. You know, that's our responsibility as adults, as people who have lived through some of us have lived through the whole 50 years of the hip-hop evolution. I'm not quite there yet, but, you know, some of us have. And you know, if you know, you should share, because that's part of the culture, too, is passing the past down, even down to, like, how hip-hop songs are actually created. You're using samples. A lot of people don't know that the song that they're listening to, the music behind that rap lyric, came from 40 years ago or 30 years ago.
In the 1900s.
And they're taking those samples from the 1900s. And, you know, that they might not realize that they're still listening to the old school, because hip hop is one of those great things that can preserve history in that manner through the music, through the culture. We're bringing those things back that once were, and we're keeping that alive through the genre.
And it's funny you say that, because I hear a lot of people that say, "Oh, well, sampling is taken from somebody else, and you're not rewarding them, and it's not creative, and it's not this and it's not that." But if you look at it, hip hop started with sampling. It just wasn't being done by an electronic piece of equipment per se. It was being done by a person manipulating somebody else's records. And that's kind of how that whole culture began. So, I mean, it's always been there in one shape, form, or fashion. So, you know, for people to say that sampling isn't creative, I'd like to take them from this digital age and put them back into like 1983, just to see if they can navigate the equipment that was out then and figure out how to make that hot song without the help of beat matching and all. You know, you had to physically do it yourself and make sure that you could get it lined up. You had to do something like Positive K did on I Got a Man. Couldn't find a female rapper to go on there, so what did he do? He slowed the track down, he did it himself, and then he sped it back up so it sounded like a woman. Because
a lot of people don't know that.
A lot of people don't realize that. That's him.
Vanessa, chime in, please, and let us know how hip hop has affected you in your lifetime, being from the 1900s like us. With education and everything, you know, you and I have traveled up and down the East Coast from Baltimore to North Carolina, and you followed my career as an artist. And could tell us a little bit about how hip hop can be used as an instrument in making some change.
Well, I'm going with my current situation with my grandson. I'm sure everybody is aware of Gracie's Corner. I do consider that to be hip hop, and my grandson is completely in love with her. And I think the culture of hip hop is completely within it. And because he enjoys it, it makes me appreciate hip hop even more. And just going off a personal standpoint of, like you said, coming up within your career and your children's career, that it was amazing to be able to see your children have both sides of the hip hop world of, you know, Can being producer and, you know, Anthony being the hip hop artist, and, you know, but Shane being, you know, close to R&B. I could just appreciate being within that. And that's what I remember more than anything.
I think we all agree that it brings the community together.
Oh yeah.
It's like the watering hole, the type of music. It's used to project what the new fads are, what the new fashion style is, what the new slang is, what the new brands to wear will be for that era. We've seen it anywhere from, you know, those who came up in our era knew what a Kangol was, knew what gazelle shades were. Some brands lasted throughout all of the generations, and some names even lasted throughout the generations. And so in lieu of what Derek was saying about the respect and agreeing and piggybacking off what you said about the knowledge, it is our job to provide the information and provide the history so that we don't repeat the mistakes that were made in our community. Even going back to ancestry, you can see how people come to either church or villages would come and drum and meet up in places to eat and talk about what was really going on. It is the voice of our community. And so I really kudos to you for being inspired. What really inspired you, though, personally, to do this program?
Honestly, I have the two creative children, and I found that here in our community it was a little bit difficult to connect them to things that were interesting to them, because the types of art that they are interested in, I found myself having to leave Sanford, leave Lee County to go search out opportunities for them to, you know, connect with other kids that were like-minded and had similar interests. And I know that I'm probably not the only one out there feeling that as a parent, that, you know, you have this child that kind of feels lonely because they can't find other folks to be able to connect with and do that kind of creative work and learn from each other. So one of the inspirations was my kids. Like, my youngest just graduated. My oldest is long graduated. And so they're basically adults now, but I wish I had had something like this available when they were the age to participate that was right here in Lee County. We have wonderful sports programming here. We do have some arts programs here, but for some of the students, they're not very accessible, either because of cost or transportation or something like that. And this tries to break down those barriers, which is one of the purposes of Alliance of Black Leaders and Educators, also known as ABLE, is to break down those barriers to opportunities for our youth so that they can grow and flourish in the ways that they want to and reach their goals. So I would say that was my biggest inspiration, was just wanting to be able to offer kids in the community a place where they could do this, where they could have safe space with caring adults, with, you know, high quality programming, and that they have access to all of that for free.
That's so dope, and kudos to all the sponsors that were mentioned and contributors, because something like this is typically something we have to pay for. In any area of the United States. We've seen many programs, many camps like this, but you do have to come to the table with the payment. So I'm grateful to be a part of this and be able to help and spread the word. So if anyone wants to register for this program, how can they get that information?
They can go to our Facebook page for Alliance of Black Leaders and Educators. It's a Facebook group, rather. And the event is posted there, so they can click on that event, and there's a QR code and also a link that they can click for the registration. There are flyers up around town. There's one at Piggly Wiggly. If you go to Piggly Wiggly, you can go scan it there. Soon there's going to be a banner in front of the Mann Center, which is at 507 North Steele Street here in Sanford, and that's, you know, also has the QR code on it, and that's also where we will be holding the camp. So, you know, if you pass by there, you can scan it there. You can also reach out to me at board@leeable.org. That's BOARD at LEEABLE.org, and I can send the information to you directly.
Fantastic. So who's your favorite hip hop artist?
Oh my goodness, how dare you? How dare you put me on the spot like that? So, I have a hard time picking favorites in music, period, because I'm a music lover, period. I love all genres, and my tastes are very varied. But I'll go ahead and tell a story to answer that question. So when I was a kid, I was absolutely enamored with the song "It Takes Two" by Rob Bass and DJ Easy Rock, right? Like, I just maybe I was 14, 13, something like that. I was young. And I begged my mother, I begged her, begged for months. Mom, I really want to go to this concert. And my mother was just like, just stop. Like, you don't need to go to this. And finally, I annoyed her so much that she finally bought me these tickets, right? And she also purchased one for a friend of mine to go with me, so I went by myself.
Yeah.
I was so excited because I was finally going to get to hear this song live and dance to it live, and I was just ready to go. And there were other people at the concert as well. I can't recall all of them right now, but there was groups. I got the flu.
Oh no!
On the night of the concert.
Did you still go?
Girl, my mama made me go. She was like, "Oh, you worked me to death. You are not staying at home, ma'am.
It takes two to make a."
Yep, and look, we didn't have masks then.
Oh,
so
no.
I'm out there in Fayetteville with 102 fever at the Crown Coliseum, standing up like the wall is holding me up. I'm over here on the side about to die.
They probably thought you were good and tipsy.
Yeah, my friends went off and left me. They were like, "Okay, you hang in there, buddy." And they went on the floor like they should have. have. And I'm just sitting here thinking, Lord, help me make it through this night. But I tell you one thing, when that song came on, I drug my little self off that wall.
Did you
and I danced to that song, and then I collapsed and just sat there for the rest of the time. But to this day, I still love that song. I still love Rob Bass and DJ Easy Rock.
A classic.
Yes,
a classic.
it is a classic.
Wow, what a story.
I think we all have some form of version of a hip hop story like that.
Yeah, Vanessa, you chime in. Who's your best artist or best experience with hip hop?
Well, my best artist is Biggie Smalls, Notorious B.I.G. And but the only concert I've ever gone to is the Hot Boys when Juvenile was the front person. I'm sorry, can y'all hear me?
You got your audio, your mic muted.
Is it back up?
You still there, Vanessa?
Yeah, I can hear y'all.
Yes, I can hear you, but it's not coming through on their headphones. I can hear you on the actual broadcast, so it's kind of interesting.
Yeah,
But go ahead.
Go ahead, tell your story, sing your song.
Yeah, I can hear y'all. But no, like I said, I went to go see the Hot Boys when they came to Fayetteville State one homecoming. And that's like the only concert I've ever gone to. It'll probably be the only concert I will go to. And now I can't hear y'all.
Girl, not the Hot Boys.
Yeah.
Hot Boys, baby, you got what I want. Come on now. And I know that was jumping. I have to say that my best experience was, and this is so hood, in Baltimore. I think at the time it was still Baltimore Arena or the Civic Center. And I think NWA was doing, or it was either NWA or Chuck D was doing his last concert with Public Enemy. But it was like Public Enemy, NWA, and a bunch of other groups of rappers. And it was so crazy because this is not good, but it's gonna be funny. It was so good because why did they put all of the headliners on and then threw Too Short on at the end? And it was like we were like, who is this? Too Short was not welcome in the Baltimore arena.
Poor Too Short.
We were just so happy and so pumped up for the whole show, and then Too Short came out like he came up short. We love you, Too Short, but I was like, it's so funny how we were talking about the different areas and the different regions of hip hop. Shameless segue. We were talking about the East Coast and the West Coast and the dirty South and the North, you know, Chicago, you know, different type of areas. How in the world in these 50-something states can we have so much of a variety and it is all considered hip hop? Let's talk about that. How is it so colorful? What makes hip hop to you, Angel?
I think those pillars are what keep the whole thing together, like the foundational elements, and then just the idea that, you know, to answer your question, what makes hip hop to me is the ability to create something out of what seems to be nothing, right? So that ability to be prolific with your knowledge, with your creativity, with your sharing of your ideas and of yourself, and that courageousness and boldness, the confidence, all those things kind of ground the genre, and it shows up in different forms throughout the different ages, you know, the different eras and the different regions. But that, you know, those pillars always flow through it. And that's what I think kind of binds the genre together, that you can still recognize something as hip hop, 50 years later from when it started.
Wow, 50 whole years.
I remember when I was a young man.
You still a young man. You still a young man. It's all right.
And I think I've told this before. I mean, my jump into hip hop came because I literally was out of the country when it was bubbling up. You know what I mean? In 74 through 77, we were in Germany. So during that early stage when Kool Herc first threw that party, I was literally overseas, and it was Steely Dan and, you know, soft rock, and it was art, the soul and the funk and the disco.
What?
Don't hate on disco. I'm a fan.
You know, and all of that. I mean, and I listened to a little bit of everything, but then when I came back to the States and heard hip hop, it was like, wow.
What is this?
I like this. And, you know, I have a varied amount of hip hop stories.
Pick one.
Pick one. Wow.
That's like asking somebody to pick their favorite artist. So here you go.
Speaking of which, actually, I can probably answer that in the same question, in the same comment. Is my favorite rapper, of course, hands down to me, is KRS-One. And I was in college radio, so I had shows Thursday through Sunday, and then of course with that came the perks of getting the press passes and getting into concerts free and getting backstage and getting green room access and stuff like that. So I actually went and we drove to Norfolk to catch KRS-One performing at a show, and that was the first time I had seen him live. And we were able to get, you know, kind of like a meet and greet with them, interview, ask some questions. And my co-host at the time said, man, I bet you're going to be nervous, aren't you? I was like, I don't know. I mean, I really didn't know how to feel. But then when I met him, it felt like I had already known him for a while. And we talked, we did the interview, and he said it didn't really feel like an interview. And then you fast forward, because we came back to Richmond, Virginia that night. And he performed live at a show that night, and just straight. And when I say a show, it was only two people performing at this show. Somebody opened up for him, and it was him. And he was on for like 2 hours straight.
Wow.
Yeah, just song after song, freestyle song, and just the whole night. And as far as a hip hop moment, that was it, because there was no issues. Nobody was getting in fights. Everybody was just there for the love of listening to this lyrical genius just weave stories that you could literally, if you close your eyes, you could just see what he was talking about right there in that club. And it was a club, and that's what I like too. It was like maybe 300 people in this club, and that was it. So
a true teacher. His voice alone is authentic and iconic. And I think that's really important to the skills. And just to segue, you know, not to speak on anything negative that's going on in the news, but just to segue onto Vanessa's area of expertise and training, there's been a lot of things going on in the hip hop community that have caused people to fall victim to drugs and different ways of being misused and abused. And you know, I don't want to use the word sold out, but it's almost like that's what human trafficking is. And we wanted to talk about that because we feel like that we are the voice, and we need to make sure that we put some information out there that could help somebody. In your expertise, in your area where you work, you have a special training. Did you want to share with us on some pointers on how to recognize if someone is a victim or a predator in human trafficking? Vanessa.
Well, absolutely. Can I hear you a little bit better now? There's just still an echo.
it's still a slight echo on your end, but try it one more time.
Yeah, I can also hear the echo. I took it off the earbuds, but I'm still getting an echo.
and it's actually better now. I don't hear it on this end, so let's go ahead and give it a shot.
Okay. Well, it does segue right into the type of festival that's going on, because there is human trafficking is a hidden crime. A lot of people are not aware of the environment that you're in, or what's going on, or even what to look for. And in my industry, being at the front desk of a hotel, we are the front people that are able to see this going on. So some of the points that we try to do while at the front desk is checking identification. A lot of the people who are coercing people into human trafficking, they're the ones that they're, I guess you could say, unscathed characters. So you don't want to do too much judgment, but you do have to use a judgment call when you think that something is just not right. Some of the things is, like I said, is checking the IDs and making sure the IDs match the debit cards that's being used to check in. Most times, human traffickers will use third-party reservations. You don't have to show ID when you're making these reservations online. So they can be used as fraudulent cards, or the head person of the human trafficking is usually the person that has the card. So we're not able to still get a name or identification of who that person is. But as long as we're checking the IDs and they're matching with the debit cards, that combats it a little bit. Making eye contact when you're checking them in. Sometimes when they're nervous or they're not sure what's going to go on, they will tell their whole life story right there. Or you can kind of get some type of cues about if they mention too many different places where they have been, or if they're constantly talking about different hotels and certain issues, that sometimes could be an indication. So just make small talk. Asking the amount of guests that's going to be in the room. One thing that you can go off of is how much foot traffic is going in and out of those rooms. Most times those are exterior hotels, the hotels where you can access the room from the outside. That is, those are the type of hotels they love to get to, because they're not being under as much scrutiny if they're in interior hotels. And like I said, just checking the third parties, making sure they're not using fraudulent cards. And one big indication is if there's any type of domestic violence issues going on in the rooms, because I can't tell you each summer how many times we're having to call the police to take care of those type of situations. And usually these people don't know each other, or that's when we find out that there's a whole lot of people in that room. Unfortunately, there is a high increase of prostitution and solicitation at this time. The summer, of course, is heavier more than others. But that is going on in hotels right now. Right here in Cumberland County, there have been a couple of raids. They have been shutting down certain hotels that have been a nuisance. And that has eliminated a lot of the trafficking going on, but all they do is just move on to different hotels. Like I said, the one thing that you can do is have a good rapport with your local PD. Because most times, if they will always send out the same police officers to your hotel, start to get to know them, get their names, because sometimes they're able to give you a direct line to call them, because they go to the different hotels. So sometimes if you give them a name, they can say, oh, well, we just picked them up the other week. So get a good rapport, have good awareness, and just making sure that you watch all the traffic. Another indication is long-term guests who like to stay in hotels that's not specified for long term. That's a huge indication, because some of these hotels are not cheap, and they're willing to pay large amounts of money up front, and they always want the biggest room. If you have the type of hotel that's a suite that has 2 rooms, those are what they like the most, especially when it comes down to the solicitation, because sometimes the head person will be in one room while the exploitation worker is in another room, so they able to get that revenue. So unfortunately, to be able to keep human trafficking going on, the main thing they do is what we call the modern day slavery of human exploitation. And that has been on the increase. I know we all know about lots of people getting kidnapped, and we have to make sure that we are reporting this as much as we possibly can to make sure we're able to get hold of the right people, because if you're able to get to a small ring of human traffickers, you can get to the bigger part. Right up here on the screen, we do have an 800 number, 866-DHS. To ICE, that is our federal law enforcement number. And also we have a website, ice.gov/tips. If you see or know someone that could possibly be going through the human exploitation, please reach out to them. You can be anonymous. You don't have to worry about any type of retaliation, but just make sure that you do tell people. But as we're coming into the summertime and we are traveling with our children, I even ask this when I'm at the front desk, and that is, don't let your children, especially the younger ones like 12 and under, carry any bags. You want them to be able to not carry any bags. They need to stay in front of you. And also utilize, if you have the two parents, one parent stays in the car while the other one go ahead and get the children to the room. Check out the room first. Also, before you go in, and just make sure that everything is okay, because unfortunately, when you have open access to hotels and you have housekeeping, sometimes they don't close the doors, you will find people that will try to get into the rooms, unfortunately. So always go in and check out your rooms first. I do say don't allow your children to have on earbuds or headphones, because that's a huge distraction. And you would not believe how many children get snatched up because you didn't hear your parent, or you went too far ahead, and then your parent don't see where you are, and then you're gone. So make sure that you're keeping your children at least less than 10 feet in front of you when you're going in and out of the hotels. And never, ever, and this is huge, never let your children outside of the room without you. If you're in the room, your children need to be in the room. If you're outside, your children need to be outside. Please don't leave them in the hotel by themselves, because that is the number one indication, because you would not believe how many people are really truly sitting there watching you with your children. Human trafficking does not discriminate between, age, gender, or color. So please make sure that you're aware of your surroundings. Going to things like the hip hop festivals, they love to search out, situations like that, especially if you're able to go to all the festivals that's going on this summer, and you're being outside, they're watching you, especially if there's a type of festival where where there's alcohol or certain drugs that are involved, they will catch you at your vulnerable state.
What a plethora of information. Thank you, Vanessa, for that. And we hate to make it so serious after we had so much fun, but we just had to make sure we got that information out while we have our listeners listening. And again, that hotline is 1-866-DHS-2ICE. So if you suspect that anyone that when you're traveling is being suspicious or looks like they're in trouble, you can call. Don't be afraid to be the voice. I remember back in the day in the 1900s, we not only met up in the community to do music or to learn something spiritual or to educate one another, but mama and them and the aunties down the street would say something.
Yeah.
I think this is an era that we're living in that we have to say something.
You had a network of eyes always on you. It was like, if it wasn't family, it was the neighbor. If it wasn't the neighbor, it was the neighbor's kids. You know what I mean? It was just like that whole umbrella of protection. And now it's like, it's a different story. And like Vanessa said, I mean, in my line of work, that's something that I do almost all the time is, you have to always kind of overthink some things. And in that situation, that's a matter of whether, your child is going to go missing, or it doesn't even have to be a child. Is that correct, Vanessa? I mean, it could be a young adult that is talked into a situation where now they're following somebody or what have you, and now you're out of sight of whoever you came with. So, that old saying is always true. The buddy system is the best thing that you could ever do for safety.
And even not just in the hotel situation, like in the schools. I know we're coming into summer, so there are different programs and camps like we have coming up. What kind of advice would you give to parents to prevent any type of danger? Stranger danger.
I mean, be vigilant and hold your kids close. It is definitely different. You don't have as much of a village. We're not as connected as we used to be, so you don't have as large a group of folks that you would say that you trusted to look out for your kids. So parents these days really have to be on top of it even more than maybe we had to back then, because there's not that trusted friend next door that's watching and sitting outside to see if your kid is coming back home at the right time they're supposed to, if they're playing outside and things like that. But also realizing that people that are out there to exploit anyone, whether it's a child or an adult, they're very creative. So I know a few years back in Fayetteville at the mall, there was someone there that was trying to get people to come and talk to them under the guise that they were sharing religious information with them. Mm-hmm. So they're like, here, come and learn about, this spiritual topic. And when the person would come to talk with them, they'd literally snatch them up and take them.
Wow, this was
and it was it was just a few years ago. It wasn't that long ago. But some people got savvy to what was going on. They're like, wait a minute, why do I need to follow you to get this information? Don't you have your pamphlet right here? Can't you just hand it to me? Like, why are you beckoning me to go over in this corner? And why is there another person over there waiting? And and young people in particular, they might not think any of it. You're in a public place. It seems, like who's going to snatch you out of the mall?
Yeah.
But that's what they were doing, and it's kind of scary. It's scary. You have to watch all the time.
What is the solution?
And that's one of the reasons why we say that it's a hidden crime, because they will utilize like I said, same age. They will use the young teenagers or the young adults to lure you in. And I do say for parents, utilize what's on your children's phones. Utilize getting the locations. Using the, I think it's like the 360 family that's on Apple, and they have the safe and found for on other phones like with Boost. So just make sure you're utilizing that with your kids, making sure you know where they are when they're using the car services of Lyft and Uber. Make sure that they are sharing that location, making sure who is in the car is supposed to be the driver. So there's lots of things that we can do to combat. And like Derek said, we don't have the village that we used to have, but I do feel like it's coming back. Because with my generation, we have the aunties, we are the aunties. Please look out for, the nieces and the nephews. And it's going to make a huge difference because this is so hidden, you have to be aware. And even the people who are just as nice and sweet, they want to say, oh, go to a party, with me. I have a teenage daughter, so I know how that goes and how to be careful, because we do have a guy that's in Fayetteville who are doing parties, and you would not believe some of the things that go on. So just please be aware with this summer. Still go out this summer. And just be aware.
So what's the solution though? How did we go from, let's address it. The elephant in the room is we went from I'm gonna tell your mama to mind your business, that's my child. Like, what do you think is the solution that we can mend the trust in our community again?
I hope that it's going to have to be the strongest intent of I'm just looking out for you, and I'm not trying to tell you what to do.
And you, Angel?
I agree with her. We've got to start seeing each other as allies, and be able to accept and receive information, correction, collaboration in a different way than, we have been recently. And I understand the sentiment. The reason how we got here, in my opinion, is because of how crazy the world is right now. Like, we're to the point where nobody trusts anyone, friends or family included. Like, it's just, okay, I got to take care of my own. And I think it was a couple months ago I heard the statistics. I was listening to NPR and they were talking about child rearing and what it really takes to raise a child, resource-wise. And it said that in almost every society, except for this one, except for sort of modernized things, it takes at least 8 trusted adults to raise a child.
One child.
At least 8. And if you don't have that community of 8 coming around that one child, that it is much harder for the parent to do their job, right? It's much harder to parent alone. And it's also much harder for that child to grow and flourish because the parent is struggling to keep up with everything alone, right? And that's even with 2 parents. So I think that we kind of got here because the way our society is overall has just bred so much distrust, and our communities are not close knit. I think about my grandparents and even my mother's generation. A lot of them grew up together, they stayed together, they're still living here in this community together. There's deep and close bonds and ties. Whereas, the younger generations, they grew up, they went off to school or they went to another city to start a life, and they're spread out. And so they're putting down roots in places where they don't have current roots. And it's almost like going through and trying to create that sense of community again, and that's really difficult to do and a little bit scary because you're doing it with unfamiliar people.
True, and I think also the sense of community got kind of muddied because of the internet. I'm sure some of these things were happening back, say, in the 70s and 80s. Maybe not as widespread. But because of the advent of the internet, now there's more ways to get the news of these things happening. So now people are getting guns. They're like, whoa, what is this?
They're afraid.
And then also, that gives whoever is, like Vanessa was saying, somebody that wants to do bad or wants to take someone, that gives them a whole new toolkit of things to use at their disposal to try to coax or talk people into meeting them. They talk online like they're a kid, and then next thing you know, you meet at this place where this kid that you think you're talking to, and then it turns out it's an adult.
That show is crazy.
And there's so many different ways now for that to happen. And like Angel was saying, you don't have that community of 8.
Yeah, I was just here looking at the 8 areas of wellness wheel. When she mentioned the 8, it immediately triggered that something I learned. And those 8 areas include your emotional, physical, occupational, social, spiritual, intellectual, environmental, and financial. And those 8 people, each one of them may be gifted in one or more of those areas. That's why I agree. That is very important, and it is missing from our community.
And can you imagine having to be the one person that does all of it? Like, that's what mom and dad are.
Parental burnout.
That's what grandma who's raising their grandson is doing. They're in our current society, a lot of people are trying to do all of those alone, and that is so hard.
Shouts out to Mother Millie. I don't know if she's still on. She did that too. She did that very well. She did that very well.
A lot of people do it really well, but it still is hard.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
And we all end up finding, or at least trying to find, those 8. We seek them out. That's what mentors are for. That's what cousins and aunts and uncles and family are for. That's what friends are for. But I'm going to go back to what Derek said about the internet. That's another thing that has also happened as a consequence of being able to be connected to so many people through that medium, and at the same time completely disconnected in reality from all of those people. So you feel
That's
like you
social
have
media.
a community, but you really don't, because
don't.
they're not like right there with you. They're, you can cut them off.
It's AI.
If my mother wanted to give me unsolicited advice about my little baby child when I had them, I couldn't cut her off. I had to sit there and listen, and you know what I mean?
until it was done.
Yes, ma'am.
We had to actually interact and work
Yes.
together. I couldn't just be like, well, I don't want to hear this, and just,
Oh, my
might
Wi-Fi
get-
cut out. My Wi-Fi cut out.
You might get cut off. For real, I mean. For real.
You trying to tell us something, Vanessa?
Listen, and I think I just quickly thought about how, with that team, with that infinite team, you turn that 8 sideways is the infinity symbol, right? And I love that because it's an infinite movement of learning, pouring in and giving out, and also listening to the child. I know we were seen and not heard, but at some point the voice of the child, we got to get the balance back, because now it's just like we're in a generation of we just got to listen to the kids, but some type of censorship has to come into play and have a balance where we still hearing what they have to say, hearing their voice, hearing the wisdom that comes from children. We can't shun the children, but we have to say that what's good for you right now. How do we get past, no, you can't do that because you ain't old enough to, I'm 4 years old and I'm twerking. Like, what, and it's okay. It's okay because my mama do it on TikTok. So, help me out. What advice can we give to parents first? And then we're going to ask what advice we can give to a child who may not have that 8. Parents who need the 8, or a child that needs the 8. What is the best advice you can give them about finding a safe person to talk to in situations like not just human trafficking, but just being heard? Anyone?
That's really hard.
It's so funny how you mentioned about children should be seen, not heard. That is one of the things that I wanted to do different with my children than what my mom did with me. And that was, I wanted them to be extremely expressive. So, I mean, as you know, I have an extremely open relationship with my children. So I think that's the biggest thing. And now they are all adults, and they tell their friends, you better talk to my mama. She ain't gonna judge you. She'll be able to, maybe give you some good advice. At least she'll listen to you and not be biased. So I think that's the biggest thing, is being open-minded, being open-hearted, and just not judge, but sit there and just take it all in. You may not like what you hear, but be glad that you have the opportunity to hear it directly from your child or one of their friends, because that means they trust you. And that line of trust is bigger than anything else.
Well,
I agree with you on that, and I think that the idea of trust also goes back to like the parent themselves when they're trying to seek out other supports. Being able to trust and reach out and be able to take that first step to, let's say, call the classroom teacher and say, you have my child this year. I want to sit down and tell you a few things about my child and who they are and what they need. And let's partner to make sure this is the best year ever for my child. As a teacher, I cannot tell you how far that goes with getting, the educator in your child's life at that particular year as part of your team. Like, you'll truly be a team. You're going to work together for the benefit of that kid, because the vast majority of teachers want to do the right thing for the student, and they want to make sure that the child is healthy and happy and learning and growing just like the parent does. So mending and building that relationship between parents and teachers, crucial, because they spend a lot of their day with their teachers. like almost more times sometimes than they do with the parents. So getting that person in your corner, and it is reciprocal. It's not that parents are the only ones that need to reach out. Teachers need to do the same. And then seeking out community resources if you don't have a lot of families. So there's a lot of people that get transplanted, like they grew up in the South and they moved up north, or they grew up north and they moved down south, and they lost all of their family network and friend network, and they're here, solita, like they're alone.
Yeah.
And finding those other, friend family people, like friends that are like family, and finding a network takes time, and it does take effort. So, if you're in a new place and you need to connect, look for the mentoring programs. Look for people like Project Point 5 and Leon Jackson.
Yes.
Look for the community resources. Look for Sound of Success with Raynard Jones. Look for Partnership for Children and Families, and places that can connect you to other people and other groups of parents who are of the same mindset that you are. So that you can start building that community of 8, even if you don't have it naturally anymore because you've moved from where you were before. And some people never had that, period. Even if they were in their hometown, they never had that community. So I think that being able to trust enough to open up, not just to your kids and have that open line of communication with your kids, but to open up to others as well. And of course, being discerning all the time, because again, we're in that generation and in that age where, it's scary out there. Like there's so much out there. It's really scary. So it is hard at the same time when we're saying trust and reach out and collaborate and coordinate with one another. You still have to use that wisdom.
Be discerning.
And be discerning.
I really appreciate and I am glad to have witnessed the way and your method of screening, especially for the instructors for the Pillars of Hip Hop program camp that's coming up. Did you want to share anything with some of the viewers about whom is going to be instructing?
So I'm really excited about our lineup of instructors for our camp. We have a young man named Mason Capel, also known as Matt the Black Sheep, who is teaching our class for MCing. He has 17 years of experience in hip-hop and R&B. He's done over 15 projects. Extremely good freestylist, very talented, and he's got a new album coming out soon. So that's exciting. But we're excited to have him on board. And then we have Nikisha McIver, who is the owner of Summers Room Vintage. And that is on Horn Boulevard. It is a vintage clothing shop and like fashion design house. And she is young. She's 24, but buddy, has she really studied her craft.
Yes.
And has a plethora of experience to work with the students. She just came off of a camp that she did for 4-H, for sewing for youth as well. So we're excited about her. We also have Mr. Nico Boncales, who is the owner of Veracity Tattoo Shop here in town. Very talented artist. He's going to be teaching the graffiti art class. And Deanna Johnson, who is one of the founders of Divas of Royal Dynasty, and she has an amazing hip-hop dance program planned for these kids. So super excited about them. And also our very own Derek Washington, sitting right here across from me, DJ extraordinaire, is going to come and help the kids learn about DJing and beat making, so that we're going to end up with a complete show for that Saturday where the kids can teach the rest of the community about the 5 pillars and the history of hip hop from the 70s all the way to the present. And it promises to be a lot of fun. I think people coming to the show are really going to enjoy themselves.
Awesome. Awesome.
Oh, and don't let me forget, this lovely young lady sitting over here is also going to have her group of young models coming out to perform with us as well on Saturday. So you can't miss that because they're going to be absolutely precious. I think this will be their first public walk, won't it?
This will be their debut. Yes, indeed. But we can't forget about you, the visionary. The visionary is going to be overseeing everything.
The
and
educator.
Facilitator.
Keeps us on
I'm just
the
there to make sure that everybody has a good time.
Yes.
That's all I need. That we're all happy, safe, and healthy. That's my job. So,
If y'all could only be a fly on the wall in these organizational meetings, it's like the ideas come spurting out and Angel's like, no, wait a minute. Let's remember.
Bring it on in.
We're educating. Let's do this.
but you know, it always comes together. And you guys, I love working with people that have those types of creative minds. Mine is different, but to work with people who are true artists is really a joy because it just you feed off of each other and it just goes and goes and goes. And I'm like, this is beautiful for a show that will be a year from now. Let's rein it in just a little bit.
See, creatives have pop-ups.
Yeah.
We have
Can
pop-ups.
I give away one part?
You are the pop-up blocker. You're like,
Can I give away
we need
one
to
part?
filter that.
Just one part.
What's
Just
that?
one thing.
Okay.
Soul Train line.
The Soul Train line.
That's all I'm
Can't
gonna
miss
say.
that. Can't miss that.
Soul
The
Train.
Soul Train line. Y'all gotta come to the show on the 22nd of June at the Mann Center and check that out.
10:30 a.m.
Yes, 10:30 a.m. showtime. So get up, get on up, get up, get on up.
Careful, we're gonna have you out there popping.
Hey, listen. I told the children at rehearsal I was going to teach them a dance from the 1900s called the snake. I began to do what. Listen,
But it's true.
that's my catchphrase this year. I'm embracing it. I'm embracing it. My granddaughter said, "What's that, Gigi?" I said, "The 1900, which is the olden days. I'm from the olden days." But
It was a
look
whole
good.
different century. See?
Yeah, see, come on. I'm not 100, but it was 100 years ago that it started. So, but with all of that being said, is there any jewel that either of you would like to drop for the community in honor of rebuilding our community and preventing, intervening? What would you say to that child who's looking to get into his creative self and discover himself? How would you encourage he or she or they in their area of creativity to pursue their dreams?
I only got one phrase for that, and that is don't be afraid to fail. Because the only way to fail is to try first.
That's what's up.
And I was going to say something similar. I'll piggyback off of her is that don't be afraid to get out of your comfort zone. There's so many of you all that are sitting there at home and you're drawing in your sketchbook and you're creating something outstanding and you're writing lyrics at home and you're making beats on your computer at home and you're doing everything on your own by yourself and nobody is seeing your light because you've got it under a bushel. Go ahead and take it out. Let everybody see it's okay. Go ahead and share your talent and find your community and build your village with other people who have similar interests as you. You might not want to be a rapper for your life. That might not want to be that when you grow up. But it'll be so much more enjoyable and fun when you can connect with other people with similar interests, and that goes back to what we were talking about, earlier. It's like, how do you build that community? Getting people connected around things that are meaningful to them is really important, and so
in a safe and positive
Yes.
environment. That's the key part of that, and that's why I'm happy and honored to be a part of this because, and we strive to do the same thing with some of the programs that we do. We try to give something that parents can come there and see that their child is safe, they're learning something, they're having fun at the same time, and like you say, and just building that community back up. because it takes them away from looking at this screen or looking at this screen for 12 hours a day, and it gets them back out. I mean, in our generation, in the 1900s, that one was for you, Vanessa. We were outside. And it was funny because I didn't care really about TV. If it was summertime, I wanted to be outside, and especially on a Saturday. It was like first thing in the morning, breakfast, go out. Don't even come back in because you could drink water from the water hose if you wanted to. So there goes you're filling up your tank, so to speak. And
Plus,
you go
your
right
parents
back.
were going to tell you, stop opening and closing my doors.
Thank you.
You let my good air out.
Let my good air out.
But again, we felt comfortable doing that because we knew that we had a community right at our back that was going to make sure
you felt safe.
Exactly. They would see the good and the bad. They would be able to say, "Hey, what are you pointing that slingshot at?" Oh, I'm telling too much.
Yeah, because I went around down Lee Avenue one day, and this little fella, he was in the front at the end of the driveway.
Yesterday,
just throwing rocks at the cars riding by. And the auntie and me wanted to bust a U-turn and go back up there and pull in the driveway and tell his mama. But I was hesitant to because now it's like you never know who's going to come to you. What you want? Well, did it hit your car? And so we got to break that. We got to be able to say, hey, neighbor, hi, your baby was out here throwing rocks at my car and the rest of the cars that were going by. And that's just something simple like that because that child may have run into a person who was not so nice and did come over and, say something to the child. The communication and respect of communication also, I would say, is hear the children and see the children, but at the same time open a line of communication, like you said, not just at school but in your neighborhood with the parents. If we could find a way of respect, because I think somewhere along the lines it got lost where parents in this past generation have addressed the children with the correction that wasn't their child. And so that might have been one problem, like where your mother at, and the mother may not be there or the father might not be there, and we don't know until the community gets involved and becomes one of the 8.
That's right.
We got to be one of the 8. That's going to be my takeaway from today.
Is that where that show came from? 8 is enough?
No, they had 8 children.
They had 8 children, so they needed 64.
They needed a strong 6'4". They needed a strong 6'4" up in there. Oh my goodness, poor baby.
I did forget something though, and I don't want to end without mentioning it. Also part of our artist collaborative for this project, it's a young man named Knowledge Fox, who is serving as our videographer and documentarian. So we are going to be making a short film about what the kids have done. And he's taking 2 children under his wing as sort of interns to learn about videography and making documentaries and things like that. So I didn't want to make a mistake and not add him to the roster because he's a very important part of this project. Because
you have to have it documented and to show others, and then that way you could build that momentum to get more and more involved in it. And got to add too, he's a heck of an MC.
Yes, he is. He's multi-talented.
Definitely lyrically gifted. So shouts out to Knowledge Fox.
Yes, indeed. This reminds me of when we were in school. I'm not going to say it. Yes, I am. In the 1900s, we would do time capsules.
Oh, yeah.
Remember those? Yeah, everybody would bring something from that time period and put it in a container. I don't know if we really actually buried it. I've never gone back to find the time capsules. But these documentaries are very important to us, making sure that we show the future generations the how-to, some of the solutions. And with our children, I know we have to make it fun. We have to make it entertaining so that it sticks, because we've had so much negative reinforcement. No, don't do that. Pop, pop, pop. Pow, pow, whatever you call it. Children know what hurts, but we have to show them what feels good and is good for them. So that's
and that kind of leads to the last thing that I almost forgot. But remembered. So the camp is this summer, but what we're hoping as a result of the camp is that the children will find their village and be inspired to continue. So we're hoping to actually have some music and arts clubs that would be financially and physically accessible to any student that would like to participate. And we're talking about youth ages 13 to 17, so they would be able to drive the content of their club a lot. But we have trusted adults who are willing to support those kids as they grow together. So we're hoping that some of those students will be inspired to keep going and build this throughout the community as something sustainable over the years, and not just, we come to summer camp in June for Black Music Month and that's it.
Awesome. Is there any other takeaways that you'd like to drop before we get into more information on how to find out about what you guys are doing in the community? What's your takeaway today from what we talked about?
Oh, gosh. Number one, you two are like the ultimate couple. That's my takeaway. I always enjoy being together with you all, but just seeing how your interplay in the podcast, and you guys are delightful and always have been. I'm sitting here, I don't know if you people on the YouTubes can see, but Mr. Washington has a mouse pad with, I think it's their wedding picture on it. You're gonna please show.
That's actually, I think
it's just a night out on the town.
It's a night out on the town. Y'all are always looking good. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
It's beautiful. So my takeaway is that the Washingtons are in love with life and are wonderful human beings. And I'm just grateful to have had the chance to spend time with you all today.
Well, thank you.
We just want to be 2 of the 8. We just
already are. How would my son have gotten to drum corps if you didn't take him?
Oh my goodness!
You took him and I picked them up, right?
Listen, I will never forget you. Thank you so much for that. Those who know, we are bad moms. Yes, indeed. And we know about that too, Vanessa. What's your takeaway from today's conversation?
I'm just glad that I know more of what's going on. Like, because I've been there for quite some time, I need to come back and do something. But I just thank you for the opportunity of putting some awareness to human trafficking and just making sure people are aware of their environment and surroundings and just still have
That's awesome. And if you have some information that you want to bring to the community over here, or some pamphlets that you can send us, shoot it our way. And whenever we're out and about and we see vending events going on, we can share it. Maybe put it in some grab bags or something like that.
We can even share it at the event. We can put that in some bags for people at the event in June.
So there you go, connection, part of the 8 right there. Yeah. So just make sure you get that to us right away. Segue, just trying to get you to come to Sanford is all, Yes. But this has been an awesome experience, and I'm really thankful for this broad conversation that really was divinely put together. We're looking forward to seeing everything that you have coming, Angel, and you, Vanessa, and everything that you do. And where I just want to bless you and tell you that I appreciate you for believing in us to come onto our podcast and our platform for our people as we grow in this podcast industry, just to share your expertise and to share your love like you've always done with us personally. We don't take it for granted. We don't take it lightly, and I'd just like to bless you both with my personal love and thank you from both of us.
Yes.
What's your takeaway today?
Hip hop. Set out in the dark. Used to do it out in the park.
Yep.
And that's another thing too. I mean, hip hop, I love the energy about it. Mm-hmm. I love the fact that, it is actually a community within the culture. Mm-hmm. The culture is the community. Same thing. See what I did there?
Community creates the culture.
There you go.
But does the culture create the community?
Well, hip hop did it all and reinvented it all.
Yes. But not only that, it's very important that we get back to good old fashioned watching each other's back.
Amen.
And caring about something other than just a device. It's funny that we have these social media networks.
It's antisocial.
That are so antisocial. They don't even know what social interaction really is. They think it's just a click and a like. Well, I could be sitting here and click like 30 times and not even see a single thing that I'm clicking like on. What does that actually mean? But to somebody it means something. But when you're out interpersonal, communication, when you're looking at somebody in the face and you can see them smile at something you said, or you can see them frown because that's the true social network right there.
That's right.
This thing right here, it's not reality for the
It's
most
dry.
part. Yeah.
It's dry. It's like
I
texting
understand
versus
it's
talking.
necessity, but you can't get so caught up in it that you forget that there's outside of this.
Right. You got to connect in real life.
You have to connect in real life. Yes.
Unplug and connect.
Put the VR goggles down.
Yeah, that's weird. That VR is crazy.
Yes.
Yeah, it's something how that the verbiage is like casting a spell over you. Like, I want to be liked, I want to be followed, I want you to be my friend, I want you to subscribe to me and what I'm going through. All of these things in social media, and we're so stuck. Like, we don't use maps, we don't use atlases, we don't use all of the tools that were on paper.
I wouldn't even know where to begin anymore.
I don't know anybody's phone number by heart. It's like, what's their name? I'm gonna scroll down and call such and such. And you better remember how you put them in your phone,
And
because
the only
sometimes a
reason why you
nickname.
remember your own phone number is because you had it for so long.
That's it. That's if you're not a phone number jumper. I know some phone number jumpers. I just made that up.
It works.
Yeah, it
Phone number
worked.
jumper.
Phone number jumper. Wow, so much love, so much peace.
Indeed.
The powerhouses have blessed the ChynaGroove show. To aunties, to mamas, to educators, to of the 8, I would say. Vanessa Sephens, the newlywed, and Angel Mills, the newlywed. This is the newlywed
Vanessa's more
section.
new than we're new, and then we're more new than
We're new. We're the
Angel,
new
right?
newlywed.
I got married after you.
Oh no, she
Right after. Yeah.
okay.
Yay! We love the
I still don't have a mouse pad with us on it though, so I'm gonna go home and tell James, I got
he'll give you the
ideas,
link.
babe. We gotta do this.
Amazon, I can send you.
All right,
He'll
yes,
send
I'm
you
on
the
it.
link.
I'm on it.
Ness, did you see it?
Yes,
You gotta
I saw
get
it.
you one. You gotta get you one. I'm just wanting to show it again because we were cute.
And R.
I forgot where we were going for that too.
It was a church all white party.
That's right. It was
White and gold.
Yes.
Yes. I had on the white. Shameless plug. I had on a cute gown, the sequence rose gold gown from Mine and Yours Boutique. D Green,
awesome.
check her out. Yes, right here in Sanford. She got the bomb dresses for when you want to go out, and she got all sizes from 0 to 6X probably. Yes. So, with that being said, this has been an amazing ChynaGroove
Yes.
podcast. We love you.
We definitely appreciate you for giving us some of your time, Vanessa. Good seeing you again, and continue doing, the good educating. Is that? I'm gonna look at the educator.
You can
Good
say-
educating.
It's an action.
I tell you what my grandma said, you know what I meant. That's all that matters. You know what I meant.
Teaching.
Continue
That's
to
good teaching.
teach and educate the masses on how to
Inform.
stay safe and how to, look out for those subtle little things that you might not be aware of, and keeping yourself safe when you're out and about, especially in this world of travel, in this new age world of travel post-pandemic. So
We outside.
we appreciate you.
Yes. Stay alive and stay together.
And on that note, Vanessa, have a good one. Like Fat Man Scoop used to say, go ahead, go out
Love
the
you
back
too.
door. Peace.
Mwah, mwah, mwah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we like to call
What is it?
a rap.
It's a what?
It's a rap.
Is that a rap? As in a hip, the hop, the hip, the
No,
hop,
it's a rap like it's a
hip, hop,
gift
you
and it's
don't
over
stop.
and we gotta put a piece of tape and a bow on it because it's done. Like, pyong.
So in other words, it would be what Dave Chappelle always used to say.
Wrap it up.
B.
Wrap it up.
It's a rap, it's a rap, it's a rap. It's a rap, it's a rap, it's a rap. It's a rap, it's a rap, it's a rap. It's a rap, it's a rap, it's a rap. It's a rap, it's a rap, it's a rap. It's a rap, it's a rap, it's a rap. It's a rap, it's a rap, it's a rap. It's a rap, it's a rap, it's a rap, it's a rap. It's a rap, it's a rap, it's a rap.